Bob Lutz, Wichita Eagle. They were so good at the outset of the game, and then for a long stretch of time, your defense kicked in, held them down, and then suddenly another flash fire. What was it like trying to prepare for these guys? And then in the course of the game, what did you see happen in those sudden changes?
Bob, just from studying the film of them, you could tell what a dynamic offensive team they were. There's nobody that you can cheat off of. I mean, each one of those five guys, and they play a lot of minutes, are dangerous. Demetrius Jackson is so good off the bounce, and we were able to keep him out of the paint and away from the rim for the most part, but then he knocks down 4 threes. At the beginning of the game, it started with him. He made 2 of the first 3 threes to begin the game. We were on our heels a little bit, 18-5. Wasn't happy in that first media timeout. And then we just started to play. And we started to chip away and got it to 3 at the half and then took the lead. And then same thing, the same guy really. He makes 2 threes. He gets to the rim, as Paul mentioned. I mean, and there were other guys. I mean, I'm not just saying those, but Demetrius Jackson, I think, was the catalyst today. And knocking down those shots, and he did it at the beginning, and then he did it after we took the 1-point lead. So I've never seen a 1-point lead get out of hand so quickly, and it did tonight because of their firepower.
In the left-hand section toward the back.
Greg, Vahe Gregorian, Kansas City Star. Along those same lines, when you climb back from that kind of deficit and you get ahead, I mean, does that usually go one of 2 ways? I mean, does a team sometimes buckle when you do that, and were you surprised they were able to, kind of do that right away back at you guys?
Really, it can go one of 2 ways, or it can be a seesaw affair. I mean, you've seen enough college basketball. We could have pushed it out to 10, and maybe it's a different game, like we were able to do against Kansas, or they can do what they did, which is go on an incredible run. Or it could then be a seesaw affair where the lead changes multiple times. That's just college basketball. Tonight, it was their night, and they shot it much better than we did. We had some good looks now. We had some good looks. Ron and Fred and Takeo had some really good looks. We just didn't make them. And they made theirs, and they shot it great, especially in the second half and at the beginning of the first half.
In the center section in the back.
Paul Salentrop, Wichita Eagle. Great, you had a real emotional weekend, emotional game Sunday, and kind of a quick turnaround. Take anything out of this team, just the circumstances?
I don't know, Paul. I mean, I don't particularly like the fact that we had less days to prepare than Notre Dame. That's not an excuse. I don't like the pod system or whatever they call it, where you play Sunday nights, you get back late, and then you're back on the road on Tuesday when the other team has an extra day plus less travel. And then on top of that, our plane was late to pick us up on Tuesday, so we're sitting around. We finally practiced about 8:30 for an hour and fed the guys about 10 o'clock. So I didn't like that. It's not good, but that has nothing to do with the game. The better team won tonight. And as I mentioned, Mike Bray's one of the great guys in the business, and if you got to lose in the NCAA tournament, might as well be to a guy like him.
If you have a question for Coach Marshall, please raise your hand. There's another one in the center section, just to the right of the aisle. We'll use the right-hand microphone for that.
Kevin Haskin, Topeka Capital Journal. Greg, can you kind of just put a overall feeling on this season? These guys kind of acted as if maybe they overachieved just a little bit, but I don't know how you feel.
Well, I think, Kevin, when you can go through a season like we did with 5 veterans, that's it, 5 guys that have played Division I basketball. The rest of the 8 scholarship guys are new. You can be ranked all year long. You can win your regular season title, 17-1. You can beat Kansas to go to the Sweet 16. I mean, it's one of the top teams in the country. So there's no way you can be disappointed in this year. We lost to a better team tonight that was playing really well. I mean, I just watched 5 or 6 games of them, and the last game I watched today was Duke in the I think semifinals of the ACC tournament, and they were up 15, 20 points against Duke, and Duke cut it down and had a chance to make a game of it, but it ended up being 10 or 12, whatever. So this team's playing really well. When you win the ACC tournament in Greensboro and beat Duke and North Carolina back to back, you're playing well, and they're hot, and they've got a great system. And again, I tip my hat to them, but I'm going to go back with my head held high too. I love these kids; they're wonderful human beings, great students, great people, and they represent our fine university in a first-class way.
In the back in the center, Paul?
Paul Salmtrop, Wichita Eagle. Greg, earlier you had indicated Ron has a decision to make about what he's going to do, if he's going to come back next year. How's that process work, and what's your role in helping him with that?
Well, we have to gather information for him. There's a NBA, and Fred has the same decision to make. I mean, anybody with the credentials that those kids have can put their name in the hat, and then you ask the NBA folks to give you an advisory sample of where certain teams may see you, and then they come back to you, and then you have to just make a decision. Ron did that last year. So I anticipate them both doing that. I don't know when that happens, but it can start now, I think, but I don't know how quickly that you turn that around. I like what Ron said up here when I heard him say that, he felt bad for the seniors. He didn't act like it was his last game. He felt bad for the seniors. That was at least a little positive that I took from that. I don't know if you guys caught that, but I did. So, we help them. We advise them. I mean, if either one of them are lottery picks, you probably have to consider it very strongly. If you're midway through the second round, chances are about 50-50, you never play a second in the NBA. So there's only X amount of slots. You're a big NBA guy, you know that. They've got to make some really tough choices. Ron will have his degree because he redshirted. He's already finished. Fred will have some more schooling to do. But they're both great players, and regardless, and here's the point that I'm going to make to them, regardless if they go to the NBA or Europe today, tomorrow, next year, they're going to be successful. And they don't really understand that right now because they're thinking, man, I can be a lottery pick, I can make millions of dollars, and that's probably at the forefront, but it doesn't matter whether either one of them plays a second in the NBA. They're going to be successful.